This is Andy from HowEFIWorks.com, and today I want to demonstrate bringing a motor up from scratch with a default tune. The default tunes are in the package you download from MSextra.com, and it will be in the directory under the zip files of tune_files. Just pick the appropriate one for your ECU. So what I'm going to do is open up Tuner Studio. I've already got it connected to the ECU. The first thing I notice right here is the throttle position is out of calibration. So let's go ahead and calibrate that. If I go to Tools, down near the bottom is Unlock Calibrations. I'm going to go ahead and unlock it because there's a couple of things I'm going to do that normally come default as locked. Close. And go to Tools and Calibrate TPS. And the first thing you do is get current. Right now the throttle is closed. I'm going to go to full throttle right there and get current and accept. Now if you notice, I'm real close to a throttle position of 0. As I go to full throttle, I should get real close to 100%. I'm slightly off, but that'll work for today's purposes. The other thing I'd like to do is do Tools and calibrate my AFR table. In my case, I've got a custom linear wideband, which is already set, but you can go to any one of these pre-configured widebands on the market, pick the one that's yours, and make sure everything looks good. But mine is already set to custom. So now, let's go to basic load settings and engine sequential settings. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to sequential on-off. I happen to have my coils wired for full sequential, but we're going to start on semi-sequential. What that means is 2 cylinders will spark at the same time. One will be in wasted spark and one will be at the correct time. And then the next time around, the other 2 cylinders fire. We're also going to set the rec fuel, or the required fuel. And I'm going to set mine for 1800 cc's, 4 cylinders, and my injectors are 37-pound injectors. Hit and leave AFR ratio at 14.7 if you're on gasoline. Hit OK. And I end up at 7.8 for rec fuel. Firing order is 1342. That's correct. So I'm going to burn and close. And under CAN bus options, on the 1.5.1 release firmware, when it does come out, and anything after that, we'll have engine control, and you can reset ECU from your screen. Close. I'm also going to go to basic load settings. Under general settings, I do have 2 independent sensors using the internal baro sensor, but I'm going to set this to a maximum baro of 100 and a minimum of 95. At the altitudes I run at, that's plenty of range. There's no need, just in case something goes wrong. Everything else I leave as default, which includes multiply map and include AFR target and a 14.7 stoichiometric. Burn, close. Under fuel settings, I want to go to the injector dead time. This is a number I got. Use 1 if you don't know what the correct answer is right here in this box. I happen to know that my injectors are about a 0.7, which I got from the injector company. Just move off of that cell and burn. Close. I also want to go to fuel settings and AFR EGO control. And I want to set it in the center top from narrow band to wide band. I would also like to change my active above, say 900 RPM. Depends where your motor idles. But at first, we want it all the way down below where you idle at. And everything else should be okay. Move off the cell and burn. And I have this gray settings change that require a power cycle to take effect. So let's go ahead and do that. Engine control, reset ECU, close. Now under fuel settings, AFR Table 1. This scale from 30 to 400 is set up for a boosted motor. Mine is a naturally aspirated, so I'll never get over 100. So let's take all cells 100 kPa and above, and I'm going to set them equal to 13, which is a reasonable AFR for a naturally aspirated motor. And anything below about 50 or 60, let's call it 60. I'll highlight this area and set those all equal to 14. Okay. And then last, I want to highlight the 13 row down to the 14 row. And right here is a blended where it blends vertically. See it right here? It says interpolate vertically. Go ahead and hit that. Move off that cell and burn. Close. I'd also like to go to my VE table and notice it's also set for that 30 to 400 kPa. I'd like to reset that. Any of these tables, if you have the registered version, I believe, of Tuner Studio, there's this little double arrow down in the bottom left corner. Tag that. And now we can change from 20, I'm going to make it 20, 30, and then I'm going to jump by 5s. $95 and 100. Move off the last cell you changed and hit. Let's move it up just a little bit so I can see it on my monitor. And apply XY and interpolate Z. And close. And burn. And close. Ignition settings. The last thing is these ignition settings are set up for a 36-1 with your missing tooth on the crankshaft at the correct place per the manual. I happen to have another set of settings for my motor, which I'm going to go ahead and import. I've pre-saved those off. But these would be the settings that you'd use if you have a 36-1 running wasted spark. So I'm going to load the dialog. And I saved it right here. And open. And burn, yes. And now it's set for my settings on my particular motor. Let's go ahead and burn. Anytime this is lit up, I'd go ahead and do it. Close. And again, it's looking for a power cycle. And reset ECU. So we have our wideband set. The fuel injection dead time is set for our injectors. We've calibrated the AFR. Everything else should be good to go. At this point, I need to totally power cycle the ECU just to play it safe, to make sure everything is taking effect. So I'm going to turn it off. Turn the ignition back on. The gauges come up. Everything looks good. And let's go ahead and see if we can get this car to start for the first time. I've opened up the trailer. You might be able to hear the power supply in the background. There it is, it starts. So I'm going to go to fuel settings, VE table, and right there is where it's idling. What I want to do early is take all the cells right near there and change those to a relatively flat number. Let's call it 50. And that'll settle down the idle a little bit. And there you are. All I do at this point is burn, close, stop engine and reset the ECU. File, save tune as, today's date and time, save. You're ready to start tuning. As always, I'd like to thank my friends at tunerstudio.com, the guys that developed this tuning software we use, and Megalog Viewer HD, the software we use to analyze these tunes. DIY Auto Tune, that carries all these electrical parts we use for our fuel injecting our motors, and the ECUs that are under the name AMP EFI MS3 Pro. I happen to be running an MS3 Pro Ultimate. And MSExtra.com, where you can find us, the programmers and myself, and quite a few other people that know lots about this stuff at MSExtra.com, and I happen to be Whittle Beast. Thank you for watching.